Okay, so as we start looking at the eye, we can see that this opening, the slit here, is what we call the palpebral fissure. We have the medial fissure and the lateral fissure over here. The medial fissure has in it the lacrimal caruncle, which is that white, red fleshy material there. And there are the lacrimal ducts that will drain the tears as they come across the eye. The lacrimal gland here produces those tears. As your eye blinks, it pulls them across, will drain them into the lacrimal duct, down the nasolacrimal duct over here into the nasal passageway. If we look at some of the muscles associated with the eye, some of the extrinsic muscles, there are 6 extrinsic muscles that are significant here. We have the lateral rectus muscle, the superior rectus muscle that lies underneath the levator palpebrae. We have, if we pull this up, you can see the medial rectus muscle here, and down here you can see the inferior rectus muscle. Let me see that. The 2 other muscles that are associated with the extrinsic eye muscles is our superior oblique that runs here and comes and attaches to the sclera of the eye, and the inferior oblique that runs down along the inferior side of the eye itself. If we look at the eye is composed of 3 layers. The outermost layer is this very thick connective tissue layer known as the sclera. That's the white of our eye. It is opaque everywhere except for the cornea, which is this thin layer, this translucent layer here right on top of the iris and the pupil of the eye. If we take the sclera off, the cornea comes along with it, and we can see the choroid, the second layer, is this dark pigmented layer filled with blood vessels and nerve fibers. We also see the iris, which is the color of the eye, that gives the eye its coloring, and the hole that opens up is what we call the pupil. And the light shines through the pupil, reflects off of the lens, which is right behind the pupil, and it just refracts that light on the interior part of the eye known as the retina. The area in front of this lens, this area here, is what we call the anterior cavity, and it's filled with a fluid known as the aqueous humor. If we open up the eye itself, we have another fluid on the inside referred to as the vitreous humor. It's more of a gelatinous type of fluid. It's not very watery. The innermost layer you can see here in orange is what we call the retina. That's this layer here. The retina is where all of our photoreceptor cells are found, our rods and our cones that allow us to see. The axons for the rods and the cone all collect at this area here in the back of the retina known as the optic disc. That is commonly referred to as our blind spot because the optic disc leads out into the optic nerve and carries everything back to the brain that way. The area here that is a circle in orange and then a yellow in the middle, this is referred to as the macula lutea, and the hole in the middle, the yellow in the middle, is known as the fovea centralis. That is where all of the majority of our cones are highly concentrated in this area, and that's our acute vision. That's where we have the most acute vision is found in this fovea centralis right here. If we look at the anterior portion of this, we see our lens, which will contract. It's attached to what we call suspensory ligaments and the ciliary muscles. So these are our suspensory ligaments here, surrounded by the ciliary muscles, and those are going to allow for the lens to contract or to flatten out based on the amount of light that's coming through. So you can see how it just holds into place like that. We also have along the edge, this is what we call the ora serrata, which is the division between the retina here and the ciliary compound that we have here with the ciliary muscles. I think that's about it.